I thought we should talk a bit more about the new epoch, the new era. So there's been a lot of theory and myths and prophecies about a new era, a new epoch. And every culture has a different name for it. Every culture has a different number, right? The Hopi prophecy says that we will enter the fifth world. Another prophecy says we'll enter a different Kayuga. The fake alien groups talk about we will enter a new density. All of these. So there's many of these prophecies. So my work for the last 12 years has been intimately connected to the reality system. What I've determined to be a technological reality built on advanced computing science principles. So it's our computing science multiplied by 1 billion. It's so advanced that it seems lifelike. That this paradigm has all of the look and feel characteristics that you would want in this kind of school system, this amusement park of life. Now, just as any computer will go through upgrades, and the upgrade is based on the operating system. So when there's a new operating system from the computer company, we have to upgrade the hardware, right? You need a faster processor, you need a bigger hard drive, because the new OS, the new operating system, is bigger. It's more wieldy. It requires more processing speed. So these have been in lockstep. There's a new operating system, and the component manufacturers and the processor manufacturers, they have a new chip. The operating system gets more advanced, there's a new chip, there's a bigger hard drive, there's a smaller computer. All of these things are happening in tandem because they are in cooperation, right? They're in communication with each other. We're developing a new software system, you're going to need a bigger hard drive. Okay, we have this size of hard drive, we have this level of processing power. Transfer all of that thinking to reality. Okay? So, when they talk about a new world, a new era, you know, the ancient, the pharaohs used to call it Zep-Tepi, which is a new beginning. So when they talk about that, the fourth to fifth, they're talking about a new operating system. That the change is so significant that the software is now more advanced. Now, why is that important? It's important because when you have a new software, you have a new interface, right? There's a new look and feel, there's a new interface, there are new icons, there are shortcuts. Lately they have added apps. There's a built-in web browser. There's a built-in video processor. There's a built-in time management. There's a built-in calendar. Whereas previous versions, those were optional. The new software now has AI. So a lot of the software has built-in AI. You can ask the AI program verbally, or you can type it in the software, and your computer now has that additional functionality. So if we compare the Windows 10 or the Mac OS 10 to the early versions, the Windows 3.1, if anybody recalls, Windows 3.1 or the early version of Mac, there's a huge difference. And the hardware has kept up. The microchips have kept up. Now, reality is the same principle, but the technology is far more evolved. So that means you're not looking exactly for microprocessors, but the concept holds. You're not looking for a hard drive, but there are storage mechanisms, such as the DNA. DNA is a storage mechanism. If you look in nature, in all life forms, they have DNA. So they have a built-in storage system. So the technology is different. So 2017, according to my work on reality, and translating this advanced knowledge into something that we can understand, rather than sticking with the biblical languages or the ancient Sumerians or the Anunnaki, because I don't understand that language, or the fake alien groups, which they take the Sumerian knowledge and then they elaborate and they create their own little interpretation. So it's a new religion, essentially, because it's completely manufactured. My system is my own. I trust my research, and I have my sources. My sources support my research. And if there has been a discrepancy, I have improved my understanding of it. My understanding is still very low, I think. The way I can explain it is still very, basic. It's basic. Because the system is very advanced. Regardless, my research shows that 2016 was the end of the previous operating system. And between 2007 and 2015, there was a major upgrades to the reality software. And so you saw many changes in the world, in the geopolitical situation, cultural shifts, the shift in middle class, the shift in computing science, the iPhone, and AI software and robotics. You saw huge shifts. So the 2015 was really the major upgrades in the reality, which is the Earth system, the Earth OS. And then 2016 was kind of an adjustment phase to introduce the new operating system, and that was launched at the end of 2016. Now, so because the technology is advanced, you don't see all of the upgrades. But you see the cultural shifts. You see the changes in society. You see the new generation is different from the old generation, right? You see the introduction of new technologies, new hand phones. The smartphone today is incomparable to the mobile phone of yesterday. And before that, we only had a home phone with a line, with a wire. So 2017 it began the new epoch. It's really the new operating system, the new reality. I call it the reality OS. And I think we are on version 11. Reality OS 11. Peace. 1.1. Now let's check back. In 2007, we were in version 6, if I recall. We were in version 6. So between 2007 and 2017, 10 years, in that 10-year span, we went from version 6 to version 11, right? So we went through a major technological upgrade at the subatomic level. And some of that has rippled through into cultural shifts. And the political stage looks different. Everything looks slightly different. And whether you know it or not, you are different, right? You see things different. Your tolerances are different. What you eat is different. How you communicate is different. All of these subtle shifts that we usually attribute to ourselves. I'm improving. I want to become a better person. Now, within that milieu, there are some negatives. There are some interferences, right? There's still drug addiction. There's still violence. There's terrorism. There's geopolitical threats. Those things still exist. But if you've noticed, they're much scaled down, right? There's never been a World War III. There won't be a World War III. Countries still get along. There's a lot of things still in place. Now, my understanding is that 2017 is so advanced that to rely only on the new software would create a shock in society. So what they did was they kept certain things that are familiar to us in place as a reference point, right? So you know you're still here, right? This is still a place that you're familiar with. Because if you're not familiar with it, that could create a shock. That could create this feeling like I don't belong here. That could create antagonism, fear. And then the other players could manipulate society using those things. So there are some familiar things, but essentially the new reality operating system is fundamentally new. So we've gone from version 6 to version 11 in a span of 10 years. Now think about this. So if version 6 was in 2007, version 5 was probably decades or centuries before that. The system has not been upgraded on a regular basis. And there are many reasons for that. But the new system has new functionality, has a new interface, so that, for example, you have a more intimate connection to your genetic code, your DNA. And you can tap into that DNA. More people can wake up, right? Instead of, so today, in the past, more people prayed. They prayed. And today, more people meditate. Or they visualize, right? So in the past, in the far past, when you needed something, you prayed to your deity, right? There are many deities. Goddess of love, find me a romance. Today, you pray to Google and you say, I need a romance website. I'm looking for a female, 35. So you're not praying to God for a wife or for a husband or for a relationship. You're praying to Google. You're praying to the internet, right? When you have to learn something, when you want to understand something, you go to YouTube, and one of the goddesses or gods has uploaded a video. One of the angels, one of the archangels has uploaded a video to teach you how to do that, right? So that if you want to do an oil change and you've never done an oil change, in the past you'd say, "Dear God, let me meet someone who will do an oil change." Or whatever it is, how to cook a souffle. Today, you go on YouTube and you learn how to make a souffle, and there's many videos how to make a souffle. So the shift is so fundamental, but yet we really don't appreciate it, right? So this is how the upgrades work. That they're gradual, they're usually imperceptible. And the mind, because of the way the mind works, we don't attribute the cultural shifts from prayer to Google, which is it's a huge shift, right? Because even Christians Google. Muslims Google. They used to pray. So the shift is so huge, and yet we don't appreciate it. We don't attribute it to reality software. That the reality is reprogrammed, and then we are reprogrammed. And now we have a new interface. Now you say, Paris, well, we still pray. Like I said, some things are being kept around so that they're familiar. So just like there's a new operating system and it's completely new, but the manufacturer says we're still going to keep the start button in the corner, right? Because people got upset when we removed it. We're still going to keep the search box here, and we're going to keep this program because the users complained. So the users can only handle so much of a technological shift, and if they don't like the technology, they're not going to use it. So technology is all built on usage. You want accessibility, you want ease of use, right? And they're always making modifications. Same with reality. So the new reality looks pretty much the same. But if you look closely, a lot of changes. And as we continue now from 2017 on, we're in a new era. We are in a new era. That's it. Call it whatever you like. This is the new era. I call it Reality OS 11. And within that, there's going to be new version 11.1, 11.2, until we can reach 12. Now that could be in 6 months, that could be in 6 years, that could be in 60 years. That depends on us, right? What we like, what we can use. Can we handle a shift? Are we ready? Do we have the processing ability to process the new codes? And this takes time, right? So some things are kept around. As we move forward, those things will start to disappear. They'll vanish. Hey, remember when we used to do that? Because those things are just there so that we're not in shock, that we're still in a familiar territory, right? So for example, let me just throw an example, and this is speculating. Let's look at violence. Let's say tomorrow we completely remove violence. In a technological system, you could do that. You could remove violence. But in the world, there are people who like violence, and they tend to anger, and they like to hurt people, or people have been to war, so they're familiar with violence. And you took away that, they'd be like, hey man, right? That would be a shock. Even though it's a great thing, it's what we want. We want peace on earth. But it would shock too many people. That is completely possible in the new era. But it would never happen overnight. It would never be removed overnight. It would be gradually reduced. And anything, right? So as we move forward over the years, the coming years, because I don't, personally, I don't agree with this 2012 and the world's going to change. It's just fundamentally misguided. It's fundamentally misguided, and it's an insult to society, because society cannot change overnight. The human beings, you have to respect human beings. We need time to process these changes. And the older you are, the more fixed in your way, the less you can handle. You know, my parents can't handle a computer because it was introduced so late, and now it's everywhere. So they were kind of left out. They were kind of offended by the fact that the computer just came so fast and they couldn't learn it, and they were left out. So you have to respect human beings, society. They can't handle a sudden shift. So anytime you get these false prophets and these fake alien groups saying next week on the 21st, everything's gonna change, it's just fundamentally wrong. And it just illustrates their misunderstanding and their lack of education. And so be careful of that. No, nothing sudden should happen, because that's not the way you introduce advanced technology. You gradually introduce it. So right now while the reality system is new, there are some things that are still here that are familiar. For example, you can still pray to God. If you took that away, people would get upset. But the new generation in 10 years, they're not going to have that, because they grew up on Google. They grew up on artificial intelligence, right? So in 10 or 20 years, we will be using artificial intelligence to communicate. And there is artificial intelligence built into us and into the reality that some people can access. Most people can't. But people can access it on a very small scale. I need a new job, right? I need a new job. That's like asking the AI, I need a new job. And the AI says, okay, let's put some synchronicities in place. You meet a friend, hey, my company's hiring, I apply. You're not speaking to God, you're speaking to the reality OS, right? On a basic level, right? You're thinking about somebody you love or somebody you like, and then you meet them. What is that? What is that? There's a mechanism to foster that, and that's technology. It's all there. It's been there. So the technology has been there since the beginning. The way I understand it, since the beginning. The Earth system was technologically built. And we've seen the different ages because of the different versions of the software. Now, in the last 10 years, the builders, the technicians said, okay, humanity is having a little difficulty moving forward, and they're over-relying on certain things. So we really need to propel them forward. So they've done this technologically. Subatomic. This is a subatomic technology. Miniaturized technology. And so you're seeing the awakening, the tolerances, you're seeing the reduction or management of war, right? You're seeing more people doing yoga. Look at all the yoga. No one wanted to do yoga 50 years ago. That is part of the shift, right? When you raise your vibration, you can tap into the new software version. You upgrade. So to use the new software on the computer, you need a new machine. You need a new hard drive, right? To tap into the software of reality, you need to raise your vibration, upgrade your DNA, and then you can maximize that. And depending on how far you can go, that will determine how connected you are. The software is very advanced, and human upgrade ability it has a lot of potential, has unused potential. We are at a very basic level of operation. So there's a huge capacity in the human being. When we're ready, we will start tapping into that. And as we raise ourselves, as we upgrade our DNA in conjunction with the earth and the reality operating system, then the technicians and the programmers can take away certain features and add new features. And some features are very fantastical, they're like science fiction, right? You could do amazing things. You could teleport. right? You could teleport, or you could project. You could project your form holographically to another location. That is one of the features. Now you say, well, there's no way I can do that. And you're right. But the feature is there. The potential is there. And so the technicians, and the programmers, they want to see how fast human beings adopt the technology, what they have challenges with. They want to see how long it takes to overcome this crutch and to move to another crutch. And they can measure that, right? How long did it take this person to detach from religion and to start meditating? And then how long did it take them to go from meditation to interacting with the AI, right? They want to measure that. And that gives them that data, the analytical data, to see how long it will take us to progress, right? It's all being analyzed. Everything's being monitored and analyzed, just like in any computer system. Microsoft, they're taking a lot of data on computer usage, right? Data usage, problems, bugs. It goes all to Microsoft, and then they take all that information and they create fixes, they create new routines, they put that in their new operating system. It's, it's a feedback system. It's a feedback loop, right? So our usage, our fears, our apprehensions, our strengths goes back into the reality. That gets put in. We're not ready to let that go. We need that. We need more of that. Too many people doing this. We need a, it's all there. It's happening. It's been happening for a long time. Only in the new era, it's happening faster. Faster and faster and faster. Because we have more processing ability now. Things are going to happen fast. Move fast, shift fast, yeah. So welcome to Reality OS 11. The latest and greatest software in existential systems. And you are the benefactor. If you have any problems, give us a